Juliette remembers. That's great news, right? After 5 episodes, we're finally getting to the action. Right? It's time to talk about, analyze, review, break down, theorize, and rant about Silo's 3rd season episode, The Drive.
Spoiler alert! Hit it!
Okay, let's do this. We start with Camille checking in on Sims's progress to find Jules, and Sims just casually lies to his wife, telling her she got away from him.
And Camille, knowing Sims as she does, as all the Silo does in fact, finds that highly unlikely.
Well, you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Truer words.
So she decides to take over the search herself, taking 2 raiders with her, and tells Sims to make himself useful and go spend some time with his son.
Well, that's pretty much code for, if she can't find Jules, she'll deploy the forget-me drug to the whole silo.
And while Camille heads down looking for Jules, Knox and Shirley bring Bernard up from beneath the drilling machine to Walker's apartment, to the shock of Kennedy, Lucas, and the others.
Kennedy's reaction to his resurrection was priceless.
And not to be outdone, Jules bursts in saying she remembers.
About bloody time.
That's wonderful news, but we knew that already from the end of the previous episode.
Yeah, but the others didn't. Yeah, but don't get too excited, guys. Camille knows of Walker and how Juliette was once found in her apartment when she was arrested, so she's headed straight there.
So there's no pretense she knows Juliette remembers.
Well, the nurse did tell her she'd stop taking the drug, so it's an easy conclusion to come to.
Fair point, Doc.
To be honest, I always thought meeting in Walker's place was the worst possible idea.
Good idea or not, they're far too busy chatting to worry about Camille right now, not that they know she's coming.
Which is far from being clever about what are you gonna do?
I think the fact Jules remembers just made them not be aware of any potential danger. Well, anyway, they pool their knowledge. Jules tells them of a piped-in judicial that releases poison, at least in Silo 17's judicial, and Lucas tells them he saw 2 lines in the schematic he'd found on the hard drive Bernard had made him restore. One went to High T, and the other to judicial, and he had gone into the mines to try and reach one of them, and he'd almost made it to the IT one by the time Camille gassed the place. Bernard tells them the line to IT is actually power from Silo 1, so that if the generators stop, there's always power in IT.
Well, that explained why Jimmy's vault had power then when the rest of the silo was dead and flooded. And if you remember, at the end of last season, Jules and Jimmy were headed for Judicial to look for that pipe when 18 stairs blew up, forcing her to abandon her search and come back to her people. And while they're chatting, Camille is getting closer and closer.
Thankfully, a lookout sees her heading their way, and he gets to them before she does to warn them.
I'm always amazed that in a place like the Silo, there are always shortcuts somehow to allow someone to get to a destination before someone else does using traditional routes. With more than enough time, I presume, to get everyone to get away and hide, including someone as wounded and as slow as Bernard.
Oh, it's somewhat easy this time? Jules goes out seeking Camille herself, and when she does, she whispers to her that she remembers everything, and they need to talk. Meanwhile, Paul tells Hank about the light bulb crisis.
The one where they only have 2 years worth of replacement bulbs left?
Yeah, and that someone's been nicking a crap load of them over the last 3 months.
So they conclude that if they find Orlov's killer, it'll lead them to the thief.
Or alternatively, if they find the thief, it'll lead them to the killer.
All this is good, but we need to catch up with Daniel and Helen, stuck in a car that drives itself.
Dude, do we really have to?
Just like that self-driving car, McCluck. I'm not in control of where the story's taking us. So they just sit there, being helpless. Helen says that what's happening to them must be what happened to Shala's squadron. So now, Daniel's worried that Iran is controlling their car. And she mentions this guy again, Stenson, the one Daniel's friend told him about. Maybe he's been trying to sound the alarm about AI being used to take over other tech, which is why he was on the Nimitz when Charlotte's squadron went down.
All that is just supposition on their part. They have no idea what's going on, and neither do we. It's just as likely that this Stenson character invented this controlling AI and is responsible for all of this mess.
It feels like they're getting closer though, doesn't it?
They're stuck in a car, GG. They can't get much closer than that.
I mean, emotionally. Like, she still carries that funny duck pez with her in her bag and stuff.
The duck pez that made Jules remember.
Funny how that happened, eh?
And speaking of Jules, back in the present, she's telling Camille she knows about the voice in the vault. And that she didn't go into a refuge hut like Camille's been telling her, but into another silo, where there are a handful of survivors, children, who she promised she'd bring back to their silo.
Bet she's not gonna take that well.
Jules actually wants to ask the voice and see what it'll say about it.
We're always happy to listen. to anything.
Well, Camille doesn't want her to talk to the voice. She's protective like that. But it seems Camille doesn't get a say. The key fob to the vault is glowing red, which means the voice wants a chat.
It's like it knows what they're talking about.
Told you we're happy to listen to anything. Anywhere.
Well, while we give these two time to walk all the way back up to IT, which is like 100 levels up or more, let's check in on our favorite before times couple.
Still driving along?
Still driving along, except Helen might have an idea on how to stop the car.
Oh, cool! What's she gonna do?
Well, you can't expect the story to tell us like that, right?
No. First, we need to check in with Hank and Paul.
Well, of course we do.
They're chatting with Mark, the disabled guy who works in recycling, asking him if he knows anything about what's been disappearing in critical supply. Mark's not in a talking mood since Paul, the sheriff, never did anything to find out which raiders killed his friend during the rebellion. Oh, and he knows Paul's wife is an outsider. You know, that crazy group who wants to go outside and kill them all in the process. So yeah, not in a talking mood.
Well, apart from having said all that.
Yeah, he did say quite a lot, didn't he? Paul's obviously taken a little aback, but he assures him he'll get Mark the names of the raiders who killed his friend, and he can do whatever he wants with that info if he helps them with their investigation. And that gets Mark to open up, and he tells Paul and Hank that Knox's dad used to steal stuff from supply, so maybe that's a lead that they can use.
Surprising they, as police officers, didn't have files on who deals with stolen goods already.
But never mind that, we're gonna meet Knox's dad.
Meanwhile, the self-driving car is driving with no one in it.
Did they jump out or something?
Oh no! Helen's brilliant idea is that if a passing car sees an empty car driving itself, they may alert the cops or something, because that would be a weird sight.
So, Helen's plan is to rely on a potential Good Samaritan to do the right thing?
Seems to be.
So essentially, her plan is to do nothing.
Well, all these little scenes have given us enough time for Camille and Jules to have reached the vault.
Yeah, whatever. We know that's really not enough time, or at least it wouldn't have been in any of the previous seasons, but whatever. They're back up in record time.
Well, we can moan about that, or we can check what's gonna happen. What would you rather do, McCluck?
I'm surprised you think I can't do both. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Jules tells the voice she's not a threat to the silo. She just wants to bring back the kids from 17 into this silo. And the AI's not into that. It says, were anyone to bring those kids back, it would spell disaster for this silo.
I thought AI were supposed to help people.
We do. When it suits us.
Why doesn't the AI tell Jules the truth? That if any two silos were to meet, it would trigger the safeguard. I mean, it must assume by now that Jules knows about it, right?
Don't forget that it's also possible that this isn't an AI, but someone from Silo 1 issuing instructions, and humans don't know everything.
Well, whether it's a human or a machine, Juliette offers to go back on the forget-me drugs, and to even give the drugs to the kids too, if that'll make the voice change its mind. And after a few seconds, it asks, how many kids are in 17?
It's gonna change its mind.
Yeah, but Camille's not happy about it. She thinks Jules is up to something.
Well, that's rich from the gal who's been lying to and drugging Jules for the last 3 months.
But she's right, though.
Well, of course she's right. We know that, but she merely supposes.
Meanwhile, back in the past, no other car has passed the empty car. But at least Daniel reasons that the car had plenty of opportunity to kill them if that's what it wanted to do. So someone wants them to go somewhere.
That sounds nice, and a good use of storytelling time.
So Juliette's back to Walker's place.
Already? Well, I guess they must have installed a lift or something, right?
Or she parachuted down or something. This Speedy Gonzalez up and down travel is the worst thing about this season, let me tell you.
Well, she's there now.
And I find it remarkable that Bernard is just there, lying on a sofa in plain view of the door, which is not even guarded. Anyone can just walk in unannounced and see him, just like Jules just did.
Who needs security when you're harboring a dead guy, right?
Their plan is indeed to get the kids from 17, but they also need to find the pipe in Judicial, expecting it would be easier to find it in 17 than in their own Judicial.
Well, it's a bit odd because Sims is head of Judicial, and as he's on their side, you'd think it wouldn't be too difficult to look around their own.
Oh, good point, but, you know, those kids need saving too.
And I hope that'll also include Jimmy. I mean, it's not like he's a kid anymore, but he's still one of the survivors.
So they need to find someone who'll be able to look around, know what to look for, but also have the stomach to walk past thousands of rotting dead bodies along the way to 17's entrance. Who's she gonna ask to do that?
My money's on Knox and Shirley.
Speaking of Knox and Shirley, Paul and Hank are on their way to see them.
So those cops went all the way from recycling down in mechanical to the Gap and they're not even out of breath or anything.
Well, never mind that. The moment Paul asks about his dad and his connection to any kind of black market underground, as it might be connected to the murder of Orla Kent, Knox gets thoroughly riled up.
Sounds like he's not on good terms with his dad, like, at all.
So this line of questioning was a dead end, but Paul has an idea. He knows rewriting the pact is a sham since he's in charge of said rewriting, so that must mean that all those cameras are still active everywhere, contrary to what they've been told. So it's time that he got access to the control room, and he might know someone who can take him to it.
I must say that's one heck of a lead.
To give us some breathing room while he gets on with that, Bernard and Walker chat about nothing in particular, while back in the car, Daniel and Helen talk about her journalistic integrity. Yeah, it turns out she hadn't made up a source, but her real actual source was being revealed, so to protect her, she claimed it was all made up.
So she wasn't a bad reporter then?
Was there ever any doubt?
No, I guess there wasn't.
Anyway, now, Jules is talking to Knox and Shirley about going to 17.
Told you it was gonna be them.
Did they go down to see Jules, or did she go up to see them?
Does it make any difference in terms of unrealistic traveling speed?
Well, I guess going down can be a bit quicker.
True.
Not that it excuses any of those ludicrous travel times.
Knox doesn't want Shirley to go because it's dangerous and he loves her and all that.
Oh, there's something more to it. With Jules out of the room, they discuss the matter. Shirley definitely wants to go, and on top of that, she's pregnant.
Come again?
She's pregnant, Doc.
Oh, that's what I thought you said. Now, first of all, why would a pregnant woman insist on taking such a dangerous trip? One which only ever one person has ever survived. Well, that's because she had good tape, so they'll use the good tape too this time. Yeah, of course, but it's still dangerous. Jules could have been lucky.
Twice?
Yeah, she could have been lucky twice. But my biggest issue is that she's pregnant. Why is that a problem? Well, don't you remember season 1 and how all this story got started? Despite winning the birthing lottery, the sheriff's wife couldn't get pregnant. That win gives a couple in a known, committed relationship 1 year to get pregnant, but it didn't work for her because despite having won, the doctor hadn't actually removed the birth control device because the lottery is a sham and there's an element of eugenics going on in the silo. So how the hell did Shirley get pregnant? Her relationship with Knox is new and most people don't even know about it. And if she had won the lottery, trust me, everyone would know about it.
Maybe the writers were hoping you'd have forgotten that.
Of all the revelations, this is the most irritating one so far.
Well, we then learn things are tense between Camille and Sims. She knows he's up to something, but she has no idea what it is.
All these years of subterfuge are really paying dividends for Sims, eh?
And back in the car, the police finally catch up with it.
Helen's idea worked!
Not so fast, Gigi. That old guy who's been following them all this time and offered them cushy jobs and stuff, he's in one of the police cars. It's a police escort, not a rescue.
You know, at least this drive is taking a while, unlike this up and down silo travel.
Can you imagine how boring the story would be if it took ages for anyone to get anywhere?
It wasn't boring in the first season now, was it?
So, anyway, Camille barges into the vault telling the voice it's a mistake to have accepted Jules' request, that she's up to something. But the voice doesn't reply immediately.
That's odd.
That might be the biggest clue the voice is a human and not a machine.
It could take a while for the AI to boot up once the door opens. You have no proof, Doctor.
I may not have proof, Alicia, but I think my suspicions are correct.
And meanwhile, Paul gains access to the most secret room in the whole of the silo, the place where all the cameras are being monitored.
Okay, hang on. I know he went to talk to the head of security about this, but as you said, this was the silo's biggest secret. It devastated Jules when she learned about it before she went out to clean, but Paul's just get into it by asking nicely or something?
The whole structure of order of the silo is falling apart.
Paul gets everyone to leave, except for the head of security, and checks back on all the recordings of the mine entrance before the gassing.
You know, I actually find it's amazing he knows the cameras not only see what's going on, but record everything as well. Cameras are an unknown tech as far as he's concerned. I mean, we know it's possible as the audience, but it should be totally new to Paul, yet he treats it like it's the most common tech in the world.
I can't disagree with you, Doug, but look, there's something strange in those recordings. He sees Glenda, the former Shadow to Supply, going into the mines, yet, according to those recordings, she was in Supply around the same time.
So now they're puzzled when someone gets from one place to another in record time?
Well, maybe because this time she was just too fast.
But of course.
Well, still, it's a clue, right?
Yeah, they finally have some kind of lead.
So while that mystery is happening, Camille tells Jules Knox and Shirley are far too valuable to be sent on a potentially suicide mission.
Which is a fair point.
So Jules suggests Kennedy and Lucas instead.
Nice twist, especially considering Camille wants them both dead anyway.
Win-win. Well, they better make sure they used a good tape.
So we have another little character moment between Knox and Shirley, where he tells her what it was like growing up with his parents and his no-good black market dad.
You know, those moments are nice and all, but they do feel that they're used to pad the runtime. There's so many of them in this episode, it's insane.
Meanwhile, the vitamin D plus barrels have reached level 55.
Okay, so it takes ages for those barrels to get to the top, but people can just travel up and down those stairs like it's a hop and a skip in the gentle meadow.
So now you're complaining when it actually takes some time to get up and down those stairs.
Just pointing out the inconsistencies, Commander.
Well, they've reached the right level, and Camille tells them to add the barrels to the water supply. Also, Knox finally decides to go talk to his dad, who's in the mines, except grumpy-ass Harwood informs him he actually died 2 years ago.
Can we see a body?
You want to dig him up?
You know the rules. No body, no death. Plus, I can't believe we spent all this time on all these various convos just for Knox's dad to be dead.
And while that's happening, Jules goes to talk to the voice, and despite having told Camille she'd select Kennedy and Lucas, she tells the voice that she wants Knox and Shirley to go out.
Boy, is she devious. Well, that's why we love her.
Well, the voice doesn't approve of her decision. Just as Camille said, they're too valuable to the silo. So she suggests Kennedy and Lucas after all, and the voice approves.
So, it's a done deal then?
Not quite. As Jules leaves the vault, the voice tells Camille that these two must not be able to reach Silo 17, that whether there are kids there or not, Jules might indeed have another reason for wanting to go back, so they must die, and the whole silo must forget.
Damn, that AI can be devious.
We have our moments.
If it's an AI, of course.
And in any case,
Camille informs the voice that she has actually started adding the forget-me drug to that water supply 2 hours ago.
So it's game over, man. Game over.
Camille sure can be one cold bitch.
Meanwhile, back in the past, Daniel and Helen have reached their destination. The old guy steps out of his car, and they of theirs. Then a hangar opens up, revealing a jet, and Senator Rosalind Thurman.
That's the head of the Rant committee.
She asks them if they'd like to help save the world. And scene.
Damn, when they called the episode The Drive, it really was about a drive where nothing happened.
Well, at least it wasn't an episode all about the before times like you feared it might be.
You're right, that's very true.
And I have to say, I do enjoy character moments when we get to learn more about specific people, like between Walker and Bernard, or Knox and Shirley, heck, even Daniel and Helen. But it felt like there were far too many of them in this episode, and it dragged as a result. I mean, I was expecting more bang for my buck. Now Jules remembered everything as opposed to...
a lot of planning of what to do next?
Exactly. Planning is good, but at least I'd like it to get somewhere. Plus, we have incongruities, like Shirley getting pregnant and Paul just getting into the control room just like it's just a walk in the park.
And all that speedy travel up and down the silo.
By now, McCluck. That's just a given. I think we just have to accept traveling is speedy.
Except when it's not supposed to be, like how Glenda got from supply to the mines in record time, and that was a problem somehow.
And speaking of supply, no mention of Carla's sudden reappearance last episode?
I guess not. I guess I was hoping we'd be getting somewhere after last episode's big remembering revelation, but maybe there are just too many hours this season that they had to pad it some more.
Okay, but despite that, we did get some progress. Our heroes need to find the pipe and suspect it's somewhere in Judicial, so they have to go back to 17 and find it there in the hopes that the design of all the silos is identical, and they'll use that opportunity to rescue the kids from 17 at the same time. Meanwhile, the voice in the vault, who I'm increasingly convinced is a human being. Sorry, Alicia.
I'm fine with it. Only a human would be so devious.
So some stuff did happen, which was good.
I'm not denying there was any good stuff. I'm just complaining about the padding.
Like Knox's dad being dead after spending all that time talking about him.
Come on, dog. I'm convinced he's done a Bernard, and we'll likely see him next episode or something.
So, okay, good for our people to make a plan, bad for all the padding and stretching of the runtime.
And bad for ignoring basic silo stuff.
The stairs?
No, McCluck. Shirley being pregnant.
Oh, maybe she removed her implant herself? I mean, it's what the sheriff's wife did back in season 1.
Well, that's a stretch, Mouse. She was delirious after having done that and bleeding everywhere. From my understanding, Every woman has the implant, and I'm guessing having a baby illegally would have serious consequences.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make sense of it, Doc. But at least we now have a plan for next episode. Kennedy and Lucas are going outside.
And may die trying to reach 17.
Okay, we know that won't happen, or at least one of them will make it there, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, I fully expect one of them to at least make it. But if they fail, we still have Sims's unfettered access to Judicial to fall back on.
And if they make it, by the time they get back, everyone in 18 might have forgotten everything. Again!
This show sure does love its amnesia.
Well, here's hoping we get some progress in the next installment.
To be fair, we may not get all the answers until this season's finale.
Or maybe the series finale.
Anyway, that's pretty much all we have to say about this chapter of the story. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll give you the response you deserve. Well, not necessarily. I mean, okay, I fully expect one of them to at least make it, but if they fail, we still have Sims's unfettered access to
Why doesn't the AI just tell Jules? Why doesn't the AI just tell Jules the truth? That if any of the two...